On the day of a major client delivery, my wife's male assistant, Vance, trying to cut corners, swapped the custom gold-plated ornaments intended for a 10 million client deal with 10-a-bag sesame candies he bought himself. He nearly blew the deal, almost costing the company millions. I cleaned up his mess and told him to apologize to the client. Instead, he accused me of deliberately targeting him, crying and threatening to resign. My wife, Victoria Bellwether, without hearing the full story, laid into me. "Ethy was just trying to help. Why do you have to be so aggressive, picking on a kid like him? Besides, his uncle is the company's largest investor." To appease her assistant, Victoria not only gave him my general manager position, but also planned to dock half my salary as mental compensation for him. "If you don't agree, we're getting divorced." I nodded. Victoria, assuming I'd caved, looked smug. "I knew you couldn't bear to leave me." I cut her off with a cold laugh. "Didn't you mention divorce? Let's get to it. If we're late, the city hall will be closed." Chapter 1. "You really want to divorce me? Sincere, are you crazy?" Shock flickered in my wife Victoria Bellwether's eyes. Her eyebrows knitted as she stared intently at me. My tone, however, was flat. "Weren't you the one who suggested divorce? Why are you unhappy now that I'm granting your wish?" Victoria flushed red with anger. Just as she was about to speak, her assistant, Vance, interrupted. He glanced cautiously at me, his eyes slightly red. "Big B, Mr. Clark must be angry because his position was taken. I didn't realize he cared so much about being general manager. Maybe I should give the position back to him. Mr. Clark is much more suited to be GM than I am." Retreating to advance it was Ethan's standard tactic. His acting was clumsy, yet Victoria always fell for it. Hearing this, Victoria's expression soured further, her last shred of patience gone. She snapped coldly, "Sincere, is it really worth making such a fuss over something so small? You're a grown man past your prime. How can you be less mature than Ethy, who's just a kid? If you keep throwing a tantrum like this, believe me, I'll fire you." I said nothing, just watched Victoria quietly. I never expected her bias towards Ethan to run this deep, willing to divorce me, even fire me for his sake. In the early days of our startup, short on cash, we crammed into a basement apartment less than 100 square feet, surviving on stale bread and cold water. To secure investment, I had debased myself, practically getting on my knees to beg, drinking until I developed bleeding ulcers. Those days were tough, but we got through them together. I thought once the company grew strong, our lives would get better. But the company thrived, and Victoria's heart flew elsewhere. Seeing my silence, Victoria assumed I was under her thumb. A flicker of triumph crossed her eyes, and her tone softened slightly. "Just apologize to Ethy, and we'll let this go." Without even looking up, I walked past her straight to the printer, printed a resignation letter, signed it, and handed it to her. "No need for all that trouble. I'm resigning voluntarily. Please sign here." Victoria's expression froze for a moment. She bit her lip. "Sincere, let me remind you, the job market is tough these days. Jobs aren't easy to find. Besides, you're getting old. Who would hire you after you leave the company?" I smiled faintly. "Don't trouble yourself, CEO Bellwether. Or perhaps, are you having second thoughts?" Victoria snatched the pen and signed defiantly. But as the ink hit the paper, her expression wavered. I didn't bother dwelling on it. Taking the resignation letter, I turned and left without a backward glance. "Sincere, wait," Victoria instinctively started to follow. But Ethan suddenly cried out, clutching his chest, gasping for breath. "Big B, my asthma. I can't breathe," he wheezed weakly. Victoria immediately stopped, her attention snapping back to Ethan. I laughed bitterly to myself. Of course. When forced to choose between Ethan and me, she would always choose Ethan. In stark contrast to her coldness towards me, Victoria's face was full of concern for Ethan, her voice exceptionally gentle. "Ethy, are you all right?" She expertly retrieved his inhaler from her bag, which she always carried, and administered it. Only when Ethan's breathing eased did she let out a sigh of relief. I had no desire to stay and watch their tender moment. I quickened my pace and left. I took the elevator down to the underground parking garage. Opening my car door, I saw a huge bouquet of roses and a diamond necklace lying on the passenger seat. There were 999 roses, and the diamonds sparkled brilliantly, but I felt utterly ridiculous, like a clown. Today was supposed to be our 10th wedding anniversary. I had specially prepared these gifts, planning to take her out for a proper celebration after work. Instead, she had believed Ethan's one-sided story, unjustly blaming me, chilling my heart. There was a time when even a small paper cut on my finger would make her fret endlessly. But ever since Ethan joined the company, she had become dismissive, even harsh towards me. I had kindly cleaned up Ethan's mess, only offering him a few words of correction, yet she accused me of deliberately targeting him. It turns out, when love fades, everything you do is wrong. I suppose this is where it ends between us. With that thought, I let out a cold sneer and decisively tossed the roses and necklace into the nearest trash bin, along with our relationship. Then, I pulled out my phone and called my senior alumnus without hesitation. "Senior," I said, referring to Mr. Hayes, "you've always wanted me to join your company, right?" I accept. My senior Mr. Hayes had always valued my abilities, extending offers multiple times, trying to poach me for his company with a salary 5 times what Victoria paid me. But I had refused point blank, wanting to stay by Victoria's side. Now, I'd changed my mind. What Victoria and Ethan didn't know was that the major client involved was Mr. Hayes. He had agreed to the collaboration primarily as a favor to me, and it was also thanks to me that he had agreed not to pursue the issue with the botched gift delivery. Mr. Hayes was pleased and immediately confirmed my start date to prevent me from changing my mind. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I hung up, pulled open the car door, and was about to get in. The next second, a hand slammed the door shut. Turning, I saw Ethan. He blocked the door, jutted out his chin, and challenged me, sincere. "So what if you were married to Big B for 7 years?" With just one word from me, the GM position became mine. "I'm younger than you, and I know how to please her better. What makes you think you can compete with me?" I couldn't be bothered with him and reached for the door handle again. He suddenly smirked, and a wave of foreboding washed over me. The next moment, Ethan raised his hand and slapped himself hard across the face, then stumbled dramatically to the ground. Footsteps echoed nearby. Victoria rushed over. Her eyes landed on Ethan's reddened right cheek. She shoved me aside, glaring fiercely. "Sincere, how dare you bully a sick person?" "Apologize immediately," Ethan, though clearly smug, put on a pitiful act. "Big B, please don't blame Sincere. As long as he can vent his anger, he can do whatever he wants to me." Previously, to avoid upsetting Victoria, I would have swallowed my pride and apologized to Ethan against my conscience. But now, I was done tolerating it. I stepped forward, raised my hand, and delivered a sharp slap across Ethan's untouched left cheek. This is what bullying looks like. See the difference? Chapter 2. I put my full force into that slap. A bright red handprint instantly appeared on Ethan's left cheek. His lips split, trickles of blood seeping out. Ethan clutched his face, staring at me in disbelief. His eyes immediately reddened, and he cried out pitifully, "Big B." Victoria froze, stunned. She turned sharp, accusing eyes on me, grinding her teeth. "Sincere, have you lost your mind?" I merely shrugged nonchalantly, opened the car door, and got in. Victoria's voice turned colder. "Sincere, you truly disappoint me." I shot back without politeness. "Good, then we're even. By the way, let's find a time to finalize the divorce. From now on, we go our separate ways, no strings attached." Victoria was choked with anger, about to say something more, but was interrupted by Ethan's whimpering. She shot me one last furious glare. Then, her face full of concern, helped Ethan towards the hospital to get his wound cleaned. I didn't care. I drove to my lawyer's office, had a divorce agreement drafted, and then went home. I was about to pack my things and move out, intending to make a clean break from Victoria. Just then my phone buzzed. It was a text message from Ethan. The photo showed Victoria, gently dabbing his wound with a cotton swab and gauze, her expression tender. Sincere, has Big B ever looked at you so tenderly? But for me, this is just routine a long time ago. Victoria had been that gentle with me too. But ever since Ethan appeared, she had withdrawn that affection. Even when I had a high fever, she just offered verbal platitudes, telling me to see a doctor myself. She always said we weren't kids anymore, no need for the clingy affection of young couples. In the end, it was simply that her heart had changed. Our relationship had soured. Perhaps because I had let go of my attachment, I felt surprisingly calm. After a cursory glance, I was about to lock the screen when Victoria called. I intended to decline but accidentally hit answer. As soon as the call connected, Victoria's earnest voice came through. Sincere, you really went too far today. Regardless, Ethy is the investor's nephew. Besides, he's young and sensitive. You should have shown him some respect. All right now, go apologize nicely to Ethy. Transfer him the salary as compensation. And be a good subordinate. Assist him in his work from now on. As long as you show proper remorse, I can let bygones be bygones. I was speechless. Victoria continued, oblivious. How about this? I'll make up for that honeymoon we never took. That should be acceptable, right? I scoffed internally. Here we go again. Every time Victoria tried to manipulate me, she'd dangle this kind of carrot. Before, I might have felt a flicker of hope. But now that my feelings for her were dead, I didn't care anymore. Thinking this, I replied coldly, no need, we're finished. I hung up decisively. After that, I went into the bedroom and started packing. It was laughable, really. I had lived in this home for years, yet my belongings barely filled a single suitcase. I gathered everything that held memories of Victoria and me and stuffed it into a trash bag. Love letters I had written her, matching charm bracelets we got for luck when we first got together, even the sweet photo booth pictures from when we were deeply in love. The sweetness of the past only made the present more ironic. I picked up the trash bag, intending to find a bin outside. Just as I opened the door, I ran into Ethan and Victoria returning from the hospital. They were walking arm in arm, looking intimate. Seeing me, Victoria froze for a moment, then quickly pulled her arm away from Ethan's. Sincere, why are you home? Then her gaze fell on the trash bag in my hand. When she recognized the contents, she stood rooted to the spot. Wait, aren't those our keepsakes? What are you doing with them in a trash bag? Chapter 3. Isn't it obvious? Since it's trash, naturally I'm taking it out to be thrown away. Hearing this, Victoria's eyes widened, her voice rising. Sincere, these things hold our precious memories and you're throwing them away like trash? Have you had enough of this? Stop throwing a tantrum, it's pointless. I found it amusing. Even now, she still thought I was just having a fit. Tired of arguing, I bypassed her and dumped the bag into the outdoor trash bin. The next second, Victoria darted forward. Usually meticulous about cleanliness, she plunged her hands frantically into the reeking bin, searching through the refuse. Once she found our mementos, she breathed a sigh of relief, clutching them protectively to her chest, complaining non-stop. Sincere, are you sick? How could you just throw away something so important? Seeing Victoria still seemed to hold some sentiment, Ethan couldn't stand idly by. He stepped forward, pretending to mediate but actually fanning the flames. Big B, please don't fight because of me. I knew it. Mr. Clark is still angry with me, acting out like this in spite. Maybe I really should resign so I won't be an eyesore to Mr. Clark and ruin your marriage. I knew Ethan was just saying that to appear noble and win Victoria's favor, but this time I wasn't going to let him get away with it. I smirked coldly. Then resign. Otherwise the company will go bankrupt under your management sooner or later. Ethan froze on the spot, then immediately squeezed out a couple of crocodile tears, looking like the perfect victim. Mr. Clark, I didn't realize you disliked me so much. Is it because I swapped the custom gold-plated ornaments for the client with sesame candies? But I was only trying to save the company money. Nice try. If it hadn't been for me smoothing things over, the deal would have collapsed long ago. Ethan, however, took the credit. and played the victim. And Victoria was blind enough to believe him. If they kept this up, the company was doomed. Victoria, thinking I was still angry, pulled me aside and explained in a low voice, "Sincere, I know you're upset that I sided with Ethy instead of you, but I only favored him because his uncle is the investor. If we offend Ethy's uncle and he pulls his funding in anger, none of us will benefit. I did it for the company's sake. Why can't you understand my difficult position?" I wanted to laugh. Even when it wasn't about the company, Victoria still doted on Ethan. On my birthday, just because Ethan mumbled something about being afraid of the dark, she stood me up and stayed with him all night. When Ethan mentioned wanting to see the northern lights, she abandoned me while I was seriously ill and flew off to the Arctic with him for a romantic getaway. It seemed Victoria had told so many lies, she'd started believing them herself. Seeing my silence, Victoria thought I was wavering and continued, "Sincere, if you just apologize to Ethy, I can overlook everything and let you come back to the company. Although you can't be GM anymore, I can make you a supervisor. Reporting to Ethy. That should be acceptable, right?" Ethan's lips curled into a smug grin, striking a victor's pose, chiming in eagerly. "That's right, Mr. Clark. From now on, I'll consult you on major decisions and I'll make sure your name is included in the credits." His tone was condescending, as if offering charity. I cut them off with a cold laugh. "No need. I don't pick up scraps. Besides, frankly, I look down on both of you." Victoria's face turned livid. She glared at me angrily. "You'll regret this with that." She shoved me aside forcefully and started pulling Ethan towards the house, but I suddenly called out to them, "Wait." Victoria thought I had changed my mind. A self-satisfied smile touched her lips, as if she had me figured out. I knew you." The next second, I walked back into the house, brought out my suitcase, and tossed a divorce agreement at Victoria's feet. "I've already signed the divorce papers. All you need to do is sign." Chapter 4. Victoria flushed crimson with anger, glaring daggers at me. "Sincere, you even prepared this? First you make a scene about quitting. Now you're pulling this divorce stunt. Is there no end to this? There's a limit to being unreasonable." I replied indifferently, "I'm not being unreasonable. Just sign it. It's better for everyone." Seeing no flicker of emotion on my face, Victoria bit her lip and signed the papers in a fit of pique. "Fine, let's get divorced then. Now get out with that." She pulled Ethan inside and slammed the door shut. I knew Victoria was furious. In the past, I would have immediately rushed to appease her. Now, I just smiled faintly, picked up my luggage, and walked away without looking back. "Victoria, from the moment you signed that paper, we were well and truly finished. After moving out of our marital home, I used my savings to rent a studio apartment. Once I settled my luggage, I washed up and went to bed, falling asleep quickly. Without the disturbance of Victoria and Ethan, I slept more soundly and peacefully than I had in a long time. The next morning, I reported for duty at my new company as scheduled. To welcome me, my senior, Mr. Hayes, had booked a restaurant and organized a welcome party. As soon as I arrived at the restaurant, I saw two familiar figures. It was Victoria and Ethan. Coincidentally, Victoria was hosting Ethan's promotion celebration lunch there. At that moment, Ethan was surrounded by fawning former colleagues, all flattering him effusively. "Manager Vance, I always knew you were talented. That old-timer Sincere isn't even worthy of polishing your shoes. Don't forget us when you're rich and famous. You have to help us out." "Oh, right. Manager Vance, when you and CEO Bellwether get married, remember to invite me. I'll definitely give you a generous wedding gift." Many among them were protégés I had personally trained. Now they were ungratefully siding with Ethan and bad-mouthing me. Just then, Victoria spotted me. "Sincere, what are you doing here?" My appearance instantly froze the previously lively atmosphere. Ethan swirled the wine in his glass, remarking casually, "Big B, Mr. Clark must have hit a wall looking for work, so he deliberately followed us here, hoping to apologize and beg for your forgiveness." Hearing this, Victoria seemed to recall something. She glanced down at me condescendingly, saying with disdain, "What? Couldn't find a job? Regretting it now? Why didn't you take the olive branch I offered yesterday? Now you come crawling back? Sorry, too late. I won't give you a second chance." Ethan, his eyes full of triumph, feigned kindness, cutting a piece of cake for me. "Mr. Clark, perfect timing. This is the cake Big B bought specially for me. Have a taste." But then he accidentally let his hand slip, letting the cake fall to the floor. "Oops, my hand slipped. But you can still eat it if you pick it up, right?" Victoria deliberately stepped on the cake a few times, looking haughty. "Weren't you here to apologize? If you eat this cake, maybe I can consider giving you a chance to redeem yourself and rejoin the company. But you'll have to start as an intern." I was completely exasperated. "Stop flattering yourselves. I'm here for a welcome party." Victoria looked utterly contemptuous. "Welcome party? Who are you kidding?" Ethan chimed in eagerly. "Mr. Clark, don't be so prideful at a time like this. The company is growing fast. Even an intern can get a slice of the pie," I retorted coldly. "Sorry, not interested." Just as I was about to leave, I saw Mr. Hayes approaching me. Seeing Mr. Hayes, Ethan's eyes lit up, assuming he was there to discuss business. "CEO Hayes, you're here too? You must think our company's proposal is excellent and came specially to increase your investment?" Victoria beamed, casting a triumphant look my way. "See, Sincere? Even CEO Hayes came personally to increase the investment. Our company has a bright future. Don't think you're indispensable. The company functions just fine without you, but the next second," Mr. Hayes interrupted coldly. "Increase investment? The proposal you submitted was riddled with typos, and you even replaced the designated contact person without authorization. Not only am I terminating our collaboration, but I'm also suing you for breach of contract. Prepare to pay a penalty 10 times the agreed amount." Chapter 5. Hearing this, Victoria was dumbfounded, frozen on the spot. "Well, what? 10 times the penalty?" She quickly turned to Ethan, questioning him sharply. "Ethan, you were in charge of this project. How could you make such a monumental mistake?" Under Victoria's stare, Ethan squirmed, guiltily averting his gaze, his eyes darting around. Catching sight of me out of the corner of his eye, Ethan pointed directly at me. "Big B, this isn't my fault. It was Sincere. He gave me the proposal. I just took over from him. I couldn't believe it. How could I be blamed just for standing here?" Before I could react, Ethan was already in front of me, his eyes red, pointing and accusing wildly. "Mr. Clark, I can't believe you'd stoop so low as to put typos in the proposal just to sabotage me. What did I ever do wrong for you to target me like this? If you don't like me, you could have just said so. Why resort to these petty tricks to harm others?" Hearing Ethan's accusations, much of Victoria's anger dissipated. She turned to me, her gaze reproachful. "You jeopardized the company just out of spite and jealousy? Sincere, I truly misjudged you." Seeing Victoria waver, Ethan continued to sling mud, determined to make the accusations stick. "Mr. Hayes, the person responsible for this project was Sincere. You should hold him accountable. These were his personal actions, completely unrelated to me or the company." Ethan was dead set on clearing his name. Victoria glanced at me with a hint of reluctance, hesitated, then slowly spoke. "Yes, Mr. Hayes. We were also misled by Sincere. The company has no obligation to clean up his mess." Victoria couldn't possibly be unaware of the implications of pinning this on me. If I were found culpable, my reputation would be ruined. I'd be blacklisted in the industry, and my career would be destroyed. She knew the severity, yet she chose to sacrifice me to protect Ethan. Her favoritism towards him was truly something else. Unfortunately for her, this time her plan was going to fail. Hearing Victoria's words, Mr. Hayes's face visibly darkened. He walked over to stand beside me, backing me up. "Do you think I, as his senior, don't know what kind of person my junior alumnus is? As for you two, not only are your business skills lacking, but your characters are questionable as well. You are fundamentally unfit to collaborate with me. If it weren't for Sincere coming to me, begging me to give you a chance, Do you honestly think I would have even considered your small company?" His words stunned everyone present. They hadn't known about my connection to Mr. Hayes and now exchanged gossipy glances. What? Sincere is CEO Hayes's junior alumnus? I thought CEO Hayes was surprisingly lenient about the candy incident. Turns out Sincere smoothed things over. If we treated Sincere like that, will CEO Hayes retaliate against us now? The crowd murmured amongst themselves. Victoria, seeing a glimmer of hope, brightened up. She rushed forward, grabbed my hand, and spoke sweetly. "Sincere. So CEO Hayes is your senior? That's wonderful. Quickly, talk to Mr. Hayes, ask him to be the bigger person and give us another chance." I let out a cold laugh and forcefully pulled my hand away. "I'm sorry, CEO Bellwether, but I've already resigned. I'm no longer an employee of the company, and I have no obligation to interfere in its affairs. Instead of asking me, you should talk to Ethan. He's the general manager now, the person responsible for this project. Besides, the mistake was his fault to begin with. He is logically and morally obligated to fix it." At my words, the crowd turned reproachful gazes towards Ethan. "It's all Ethan's fault. Why did he have to push Sincere out? Exactly, if it weren't for him, the company wouldn't be in breach of contract. If the company goes bankrupt, what will happen to us? Ethan only knows how to talk pretty. He's actually an incompetent fool." Ethan's face visibly fell. Suddenly, something seemed to occur to him, and he stared hard at me. "Sincere, I admit the breach was due to my negligence. But you worked alongside everyone here for so many years. Are you really going to stand by and do nothing? Don't you have any sense of collegial loyalty left?" At Ethan's words, the crowd turned pleading eyes towards me. "Yeah, Sincere, the job market is terrible right now. If something happens to the company, we'll all be out of work. Sincere, it's just a simple word from you. Surely you wouldn't refuse such a small favor?" Looking at these fair weather friends, I could only find it laughable. When I was being targeted and bullied, none of them spoke up for me. Now they wanted to guilt-trip me? "Not a chance thinking this," I retorted sharply. "Now you want to talk about collegial loyalty? When Ethan was targeting me, when you threw his promotion party, why were you all helping him kick me when I was down? What happened to our collegial loyalty then?" Chapter 6. My sharp rebuttal silenced the crowd. Knowing they were in the wrong, they tactfully shut their mouths. Victoria opened her mouth, wanting to say more, but I had no interest in dealing with them further. I took Mr. Hayes's arm and headed towards my own welcome party. Mr. Hayes had booked a large private room. My new colleagues were very welcoming, even ordering a large cake specially for me. "Welcome, Sincere, Mr. Clark. We're colleagues now, looking forward to working with you." Looking at the three-tiered cake, taller than some people, my eyes unexpectedly welled up, a warmth spreading through my chest. Once on my birthday, Victoria had bought me a small cake, lit a candle, and wished me a happy birthday with a smile. But ever since Ethan appeared, I hadn't celebrated my birthday properly in a long time, nor had anyone made such a fuss over me. For my 30th birthday, I had mentioned to Victoria that I wanted to have a small party. She had rubbed her temples, looking at me with disappointment. "Sincere, we're not young anymore. Let's not bother with those superficial, showy rituals like teenagers. Besides, the company is launching a new project, and funds are tight. Can't you be more considerate of how hard I work to earn money?" Yet the very next day, when Ethan landed a small deal worth only tens of thousands, she lavishly spent a fortune booking 100 tables for a grand celebration banquet in his honor. But when I signed a multi-million-dollar contract, she didn't even offer a word of congratulations. So it wasn't about the lack of money, just that I wasn't deemed worthy. Caught up in the moment, I inevitably drank a bit too much. Amidst the clinking glasses and cheerful conversation, I felt an unprecedented sense of relaxation. It felt good to be valued. During the party, Victoria sent me messages. I didn't need to guess she undoubtedly wanted me to plead with Mr. Hayes. I ignored them and simply turned off my phone. By the time the welcome party ended, it was already dark. After bidding farewell to Mr. Hayes and my new colleagues, I picked up my phone, ready to head home. Just as I stepped out of the main entrance, I ran into Victoria. In the cold wind, she hugged her clothes tightly, her nose red from the chill. It was clear she had been waiting for a long time. Seeing me emerge, Victoria immediately ran up, grabbing my hand, her face full of regret. "Sincere, you were right. Ethan is just an incompetent fool. I shouldn't have been angry with you, and I definitely shouldn't have entrusted him with so much responsibility. Because of him, the company is now saddled with a tenfold penalty. Your CEO Hayes' junior alumnus, I know you have his ear. You pleaded with Mr. Hayes about the candies before, and he let it go. This time, could you please talk to Mr. Hayes for me again? Ask him to be magnanimous?" I glanced at Victoria, scoffing inwardly. The last time I kindly intervened and cleaned up Ethan's mess, what was the result? Nobody appreciated my efforts, and I only attracted trouble. And now Victoria wanted me to do another thankless task? Dream on. I yanked my hand away, stating coldly, "I can't help you. Find someone else." Victoria bit her lip, refusing to give up. She lunged forward again, grabbing the hem of my coat and refusing to let go. "Sincere, this time I'm not asking you as the company president, but as your wife. For the sake of our years of marriage, please help me, won't you?" I found it laughable and coldly pulled my hand free again. "Victoria, have you forgotten? We're already divorced. The divorce agreement is signed. What years of marriage are you talking about?" Victoria froze, finally remembering she had recently signed the divorce papers with me. Her eyelashes fluttered, but she still wouldn't give up. "But I only said that in anger. How can words spoken in anger be taken seriously? Angry words might not be binding, but the divorce agreement is. It's legally valid. Legally speaking, we have no relationship anymore." Victoria fell silent for a moment. Seeing the emotional appeal wasn't working, she started using the company again. "Sincere, regardless, this company is ultimately your creation, your hard work. We came a long way, faced so many difficulties. Can you really bear to see all your effort go down the drain just like that?" So, she did know the company was my creation. Then why did she so readily hand over my hard work to someone else? When she gave everything I built to Ethan, why didn't she consider it my creation then? I coldly pushed her away. "I won't help you. Give up." Seeing my resolute attitude, the light in Victoria's eyes visibly dimmed. Just then, Ethan drove up to pick up Victoria. Seeing Victoria's distress and knowing he had made a huge mistake, he approached cautiously, reaching out with red-rimmed eyes to tug at her sleeve. "Big B, I'm sorry, this time it's all my fault. Blame me if you must, but there's no need to torture yourself like this." In the past, whenever Ethan played the victim, Victoria would invariably soften and her anger would dissipate. I assumed this time would be no different. To my surprise, however, Victoria violently shoved Ethan to the ground. Gone was her usual gentleness, her voice icy. "Cry, cry, cry, is that all you know how to do? Sincere was right. You're nothing but an incompetent fool, and now look, the company is ruined because of you. What are you going to do about it?" Chapter 7. Shoved so forcefully by Victoria, Ethan was stunned, frozen on the spot. "Big B, you pushed me." I was also somewhat surprised. Was this really Victoria? Usually she wouldn't even speak harshly to Ethan, and now she had resorted to physical force. Ethan realized Victoria was genuinely furious. He wanted to say more, but Victoria had already turned and stormed off without looking back. "Big B, wait for me before leaving." Ethan didn't forget to shoot me a venomous glare. "What are you looking at?" "Sincere, seeing Big B treat me like this makes you happy, doesn't it? Don't think you've won. Let me tell you, Big B still has feelings for me deep down. She's just temporarily angry. Once she calms down, she'll naturally forgive me." With that, Ethan hurried after her. I paid absolutely no attention to Ethan's provocations, dismissing them like irrelevant noise. Over the next month, I ignored Victoria and Ethan completely, burying myself in my new job, focusing solely on my career. Since clearing my mind of distractions, my internal conflicts ceased, and consequently, my work efficiency soared. My abilities were already outstanding, and coupled with dedication and hard work, I quickly secured major deals. In less than half a month, Mr. Hayes promoted me and gave me raises several times, eventually appointing me as vice president. This was unprecedented compared to my previous situation. At Victoria's company, I had earned the lowest salary while doing the most demanding work. After 7 years of toiling away, I was still just the general manager. Victoria had claimed it was to temper me that she held back my promotions. Looking back now, it was clear she was just manipulating me, wanting me to work myself to the bone for her benefit. News of Victoria and Ethan reached me a month later through a message from a former colleague I was still on good terms with. Surprisingly, Victoria's company had somehow managed to survive. Apparently, Ethan had procured a large sum of cash from somewhere and paid off the breach of contract penalty. Furthermore, since Ethan took over, the company was reportedly thriving, signing contracts continuously, experiencing significant growth. I sensed something fishy. Ethan could barely print a document correctly. His business acumen was severely lacking. How could he possibly manage the company so effectively? Before I could figure it out, Ethan sent me a private message taunting me. The photo showed a luxury watch Victoria had bought him. Sincere, Big B bought this for me. Envious, right? Actually, I should thank you. If you hadn't stepped aside, how would I have gotten the chance to shine? Now both Big B and the company are mine. You're destined to be a loser shortly after. Victoria sent me a voice message, mocking me. Sincere, don't think the company and I can't survive without you, Ethy, is more than enough. After all, the company started booming right after Ethy took charge. Compared to Ethy, you fall far short. I remained unfazed by their provocations, but the company's sudden turnaround felt highly irregular. I kindly advised Victoria to keep a close eye on Ethan. Victoria just scoffed. Give me a break. I think you're just jealous of Ethy. You can't stand seeing him do better than you. I was speechless. You can't reason with someone determined to self-destruct. Fine, I wouldn't bother anymore. Let her be. But trusting Ethan so blindly, she was bound to suffer the consequences sooner or later. Chapter 8. Sure enough, it wasn't long before Victoria's company ran into serious trouble, even making headlines. It turned out the company's apparent prosperity was due to Ethan having someone cook the books, and the money he used for the penalty payment came from high-interest online loans taken out in Victoria's name. When the truth came out, furious partners terminated their contracts one after another. Victoria's company's stock plummeted, the market crashed, and panic spread throughout the company. Ethan's uncle lost all his investment. He unleashed a merciless tirade against Victoria, calling her a waste, and angrily withdrew all remaining funding on the spot. With the main investor gone, the company teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. Victoria, already resentful over the unexpected massive debt, was publicly humiliated by Ethan's uncle, losing all face. Throughout the ordeal, Ethan, whom she had protected, didn't say a single word in her defense. Victoria and Ethan had a massive argument, and in a fit of rage she fired him. After that day, Victoria began calling me relentlessly, sending messages admitting her mistakes. I'm sorry, Sincere, I was wrong. Ethan is nothing but a troublemaker. You warned me he wasn't reliable, but I thought you were deliberately targeting him. I should have trusted you. If I had believed you, the company wouldn't be in this mess. Sincere, I truly am sorry. Can you please help me come back? Please, I can't live without you. I didn't reply to a single message, treating them as a joke. Seeing my lack of response, Victoria bombarded me even more frantically. Eventually, tired of the harassment, I blocked and deleted her number. I thought that would make Victoria give up. Who knew she would resort to showing up at my doorstep? One evening, I had just returned home from work. As I opened the door, I saw Victoria in the kitchen, wearing an apron, cooking. I froze. Victoria? What are you doing in my apartment? How did you get in? Seeing me, Victoria's eyes lit up. She smiled and explained. I called a locksmith to let me in. I felt a wave of revulsion, my voice turning cold. Victoria, this is breaking and entering. Leave immediately, or I can press charges. Victoria acted as if she hadn't heard me. She brought the freshly made fish soup to the table, ladled a bowl, and offered it to me expectantly. I remember fish is your favorite. Try it, I made it specially for you. I merely glanced at it and pushed the bowl aside. Victoria, stop wasting your effort, we are finished. Victoria bit her lower lip, refusing to give up, tears welling in her eyes. Sincere, I even cooked for you. Why can't you just give me one more chance? I need you, and the company needs you too. Sincere, I love you. Please forgive me, let's get back together, okay? I cut her off coldly. Victoria, stop with the self-pity. You don't even know I'm allergic to fish, yet you claim to love me? It was never me who loved fish, it was Ethan. Victoria froze for a moment, a flash of embarrassment crossing her face. She quickly picked up the soup bowl. Sorry, Sincere, I must have gotten confused. It's okay. Tell me what you like, I'll make something else. Victoria, stop wasting your energy. It's pointless. Victoria's eyes instantly reddened. She fumbled, and the bowl slipped from her grasp, crashing to the floor. Scalding soup splashed onto her hand, making her cry out in pain. In the past, I would have rushed forward immediately to check on her burn. Now, I just watched coldly, feeling none of my former concern. Victoria looked at me, her expression pitifully vulnerable. Sincere, I'm hurt like this. Don't you have anything you want to say to me? I paused for a moment, then nodded. Actually, yes, I do. Hearing this, a look of joy returned to Victoria's face. Sincere, I knew it, you still care about me deep down. But the next second, I pulled out my phone and dialed the emergency number. If you don't leave right now, I'm reporting you for trespassing. Chapter 9. Victoria froze, then her face flushed bright red. She stared at me, furious. Sincere, how could you do this to me? I acted as if I hadn't heard, ready to make the call. Seeing I was serious, Victoria could only stomp her foot in anger, then leave in a huff. Sincere, you are too cruel. After Victoria left, peace returned to my apartment. I thought my stance was clear enough and believed Victoria wouldn't bother me anymore. Unexpectedly, my rejection seemed to provoke her, and she began pursuing me even more relentlessly. For a long time afterwards, she persistently chased me, trying desperately to win me back. To get me back, Victoria contacted mutual friends to learn about my likes and dislikes. Though she'd never been domestic, she insisted on cooking for me every day, delivering 3 meals a day to my office building, rain or shine. She frequently sent flowers and cakes, arranging little surprises. Unsuspecting colleagues thought Victoria was my girlfriend and often teased me. Sincere, you lucky dog. Finding such a great girlfriend, you have no idea how envious I am. Sincere, your girlfriend brought you lunch again, making us all jealous. Victoria relished the attention, but I found it increasingly irritating. Finally, one day when she presented me with a scarf she had hand-knitted, I rejected her coldly. Victoria, have you had enough? I told you we are finished. Can you please stop harassing me? This is really annoying. Go away. Don't make me hate you. Something in my words must have struck a nerve. The light in Victoria's eyes faded rapidly, leaving them numb and empty. She lowered her head, whispering, Don't hate me. I'll just go. For a long while after that, Victoria didn't bother me. I was able to focus on work and enjoyed a period of rare tranquility. Because of my outstanding abilities, my supervisor, Linda Foster, held me in high regard and frequently praised my work. We developed an excellent working rapport, becoming great partners. One day, after I exceeded my target significantly, Linda offered to treat me to dinner as a reward for my contribution. Not wanting to refuse her kindness, I agreed. We arrived at the pre-booked restaurant and had just sat down when a sharp voice came from behind. Sincere, who is she? Turning around, I saw Victoria, her eyes red-rimmed, looking at me with utter betrayal. It's none of your business. Hearing my words, tears filled Victoria's eyes, her voice trembling even more. Sincere, answer me, who is this woman? So she's the reason you rejected me, right? I rubbed my temples, unsure how to respond. Just then, Linda smoothly linked her arm through mine and smiled faintly at Victoria. You must be the ex-wife who keeps harassing Sincere. Hello, I'm Sincere's girlfriend. Chapter 10. Hearing this, Victoria's eyes widened in disbelief, her voice shaking. What? Girlfriend? Sincere, you found a girlfriend. Linda gave me a subtle wink. I didn't expose her fib playing along. We're divorced. Who I date has nothing to do with you, does it? Victoria shook her head frantically, refusing to accept reality. No, impossible. I know she must be an actress you hired. You're just doing this deliberately to make me angry, aren't you? Sincere, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. Stop playing games. Come back with me, please. I promise I'll treat you well from now on. I won't make you upset again. I cut her off coldly. Stop deceiving yourself. There's no us anymore. Linda tightened her grip on my arm. Ms. Bellwether, I am Sincere's girlfriend now. Please stop harassing my man. I followed her lead, taking Linda's hand, putting on a show of affection right in front of Victoria. Victoria's eyes were completely red, tears streaming uncontrollably down her face. Sincere, you're too cruel. I am your wife. How could you do this to me? I glanced at her, retorting coldly, Victoria, get it straight. You were the cruel one. Besides, you don't want to reconcile because you love me. It's because you're broke and desperate, looking for someone to bail you out. But I have no interest in recycling trash. Instead of bothering me, you should be looking for Ethan. After all, he's the one who ruined you, not me. With that, I pulled Linda away, turning my back on Victoria. Lindy, let's eat somewhere else. I've lost my appetite. As we turned away, Victoria's heart-wrenching sobs echoed behind us, but I remained unmoved. Not long after that, Victoria's company officially declared bankruptcy. With nowhere else to turn, she sought help from Ethan. But Ethan, having just been abandoned by his uncle, dropped his facade entirely, revealing his true nature. He threw Victoria out, telling her he had only ever approached and flattered her for her money, and to use her to impress his uncle. Now that her company was bankrupt and she was drowning in debt, Victoria had lost all value to him, so Ethan showed her no courtesy. Betrayed so viciously by Ethan, Victoria flew into a rage, blaming him for all her misfortunes. They had a violent argument. During the struggle, Victoria lost control and shoved Ethan down a flight of stairs. Ethan hit his head hard, blood pooling around him. He died instantly. Victoria ultimately reaped what she sowed. She was convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to life in prison. Around the time she was arrested and imprisoned, Linda was confessing her feelings to me. Sincere, I like you. Would you be willing to give us a try? Yes. I smiled and nodded, pulling her into an embrace. Our future was just beginning. End of story.